The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a real-life medium? Then this is the podcast for you. In this show, you'll learn how to open your heart to spirit, hear adventures I've experienced as an award-winning psychic medium and teacher. Plus, I'm going to give you some psychic information and insight into what the future holds for our increasingly crazy world. Tune in every Friday and get ready to connect to the other side. I'm Jen, and I'll be your guide starting right now. Wow, guys, we are back. It has been a long time coming. I've been on hiatus from the Spirit Mentor podcast for about, I want to say 6 months or so. So if you're listening to this, I am so happy that you are here. I bet that you are probably an old subscriber or a longtime follower and supporter and listener of me, and I'm so grateful for that. But if you're new, welcome in, because the last time I recorded a podcast, I did not have as many amazing followers, and I have a whole bunch of new people who know me now, which is amazing. So if you're listening to this, welcome into the Spirit Mentor podcast. My name is Jen. I am your host. I am the only host today, unless there's a ghost here. I don't know, but that's usually how it could roll in my podcast episodes. Today it's going to be a mini podcast episode, just because, how many times can I say episode? Because it's Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada, and I'm about to go on a long road trip to my parents' house to have some Thanksgiving dinner, some stuffing. And I want to share something that happened to me 2 weeks ago, which is kind of fun. And I think maybe when I first started this podcast, I actually have already done an episode similar to this with the same idea, but completely different vibe here. And it is now October 11th at 7:37 a.m. Whoa. And I want to share a story to you about how a psychic got a psychic reading, right? So would you actually think like a psychic wants to go see a psychic? That's kind of weird. Like, doesn't a psychic know what's going to happen for themselves already? Well, yes and no. That is the case. So the funny story is that every year I always get a psychic reading, and I just pick random psychics off TikTok. This year it was a TikTok psychic. Other years it's been, from other websites, randomness, and I don't like book it a year ahead. I just go in there and I'm like, because usually psychics who are established, not all the time, have bookings and they're booked up for like 2 years. So I asked for recommendations from some of my students and like, oh, go see this person in the States and call. I'm like, she's booked up for 2 years, dude. No, I'm not waiting that long. I want it today. So can you imagine like what psychic is open that same day, right? Like it's not like a 7-Eleven. And so I looked around and I'm like, okay, that person is booked up for 2 years. Yeah, well, I'm not going to do that because I wanted to talk to a psychic now. And I randomly just scrolled through TikTok and there's literally thousands of psychics. I want to say quote unquote psychics. There's actually a few handful of really, really legitimate psychics and mediums on TikTok. And I know a lot of people don't like to go on TikTok, but that's where you can find your psychics if you want, your very good discernment. And so I went through like 20 of them and I ended up WhatsApped one of them. And it was really sketchy because she didn't even have I can't remember if she had a website or not, but it was really sketchy. She's like, oh yeah, I can read for you at 5 p.m. today. And then I'm like, no, that's okay. It was just really off, right? So it's important when you go see a psychic, or you're thinking of going to see someone in this field of work, is that you have to use your intuition. Like, it just goes hand in hand. It's not like you're going to go to the bank and you're going to use your intuition. What bank should I go to? And you're like, oh, my psychic says don't go to that bank. It's literally, you have to choose this person or psychic or professional from an intuitive standpoint, or it can get kind of messy. So if something feels off, it is, right? And so I found the second person that I found. She's from the States, I believe Michigan. I'm not going to say her name. Here's the deal. I will reveal her name if she's right. If all the things that she says comes true, I will personally text her and say, can I please share your work? And I will put her on my story so you guys can all have a chance to have a reading from this person in like within 24 hours. So even though she was available in the next day, it wasn't a red flag for me. I was like, yes, this is the person. I'm going to go, she has very good reviews. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to text her. And then she sent me a link. She's like, okay, I'm going to call you tomorrow. It was professional. You had to go on the website, click the time and date. Then you got a confirmation. Then you got a message, and all those reminders. That's what you want. Look for that too. Okay. And so anyway, or you could just, walk down the street in downtown Toronto and you see a psychic and you're like, oh, I want to go in there, do that too. By all means, go for it. So she texted me back and I set up the thing, and it was literally like less than 24 hours. So I believe I booked it on Sunday, like at noon. And then we had our meeting at like 7 a.m. on Monday morning. And it's kind of strange being on the other side of a reading. I'm always the one who's giving the information and tapping in psychically to you guys, and talking to your people on the other side. And it was so like, I want to say nerve-wracking. So when people come to see me on the Zoom, they're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. I'm like, why? Like, why are you nervous? But I literally understand now, because I was nervous. Like, I had butterflies in my stomach, and it wasn't because I was afraid of what she was going to say. It was just that maybe because I didn't know what she was going to say, I guess. I don't know, like the unknown. And I'm like hoping that she's going to say really positives. Like, I've had readings before in the past from these random psychics and years before, and they've always said everything is good. Like, I've never had a reading where a psychic's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but this is going to happen. Never have I had a psychic tell me that. It's always positive. Like, everything's wonderful in my life in these readings. So I didn't really go in there expecting it to be something bad or negative. Like, as you guys know, I never, aside from the collective readings on Instagram that I do for the world, those are, not great things, because I'm trying to prepare people for these world events and chaos that is happening, which is what I see there. But in a personal reading, there's never anything, I guess I shouldn't say that. There's never anything like scary in my personal readings with clients. I will say I do have a story I'll tell real quick before I tell about my reading, about, not my rule is, or I guess Spirit's rule with me when I do personal readings is I'm not allowed to get anything bad. So by bad, I mean like someone's going to die or someone's going to get sick. Someone's, I have so many stories. I should write a book. I have stories about people asking if their husband's having affairs. I'll get the name of the person that they're having an affair with. Like, I have crazy stories, but that's because the person wanted to know that information, right? And so a lot of people don't want to know bad things. So I'll tell you this quick story, and I tell it all the time because this story reminds me and my students that sometimes you're going to get things, if you're a psychic and you're doing readings, you're going to get things that don't make sense. And if you're the client on the client end and you're like, 5 things in that reading did not make any sense to me, but usually what happens is that it will happen later. Okay. Or like sometimes, it gets mixed up in the messaging and how we're perceiving it. But just so you know, as a rule, my rule anyways, as a psychic, is that I can't make anything up. So what I do is I just trust whatever I receive, I'll just give to you as is. Hopefully, I don't try to change it around too much, but sometimes it can come in a weird kind of way. So in this regard, the client kept saying no to everything I was saying. And I was like, not that I was like, oh, I'm so cool, I'm the best psychic in the world. That wasn't like that. It was because I was receiving this information in a way that felt true to me, and it didn't feel like it was wrong, or like anything was off about it, but I kept presenting it to her. So this is how it went. And this is my example of like, I predicted something horrible without me knowing. So if I have some information that is not good, like a scary or whatever, fear-based for a client, but it will prepare them somehow in some way for a future event, then I will get what I get it in a roundabout kind of way. So it's kind of like a roundabout kind of way I'll receive it. So in this instance, there was a lady who came to see me at the store and the reading was going great. It was a psychic reading, I believe, or maybe it was mediumship. I'm not sure. Anyways, I said to her, I'm like, there's a man here. I think I presented it mediumistically. I'm not sure, but I'm like, I had a weird feeling. I'm like, there's a man here. I'm like, do you have someone who like dropped from a heart attack on the sidewalk right in front of a woman, and then the ambulance called, and then he passed on his way to the hospital? And like his name to be John. She goes, no. And I'm like, okay, so I'll go on the other side then. So how about in the spirit world, would there have been someone named John who dropped on the sidewalk in front of a woman of a heart attack suddenly out of nowhere, and then ambulance was called, and then he passed on the way to the hospital? She's like looking, she's like, well, maybe my like great uncle / cousin friend. And I'm like, no, that's not it. Anyways, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to give it to you. I'm going to leave it with you. And I explained to her in the reading that sometimes these things don't make any sense at all, but I give you everything. That's my job. And then we'll see what happens, right? It's not up to me. My job is just to tell you what I get. And so I don't know why I'm laughing. I was like, it's a horrible story. So anyways, I'm like, okay, kind of feeling, I don't remember if I felt shitty about it. I was like, oh my God, that sucked. But I don't remember how I felt about it. But she may have thought, oh, wow, that psychic's not that great. And I don't have no idea how she thought. So I can't remember if it was like a couple months or 6 months later, the same woman I read for, who I told this to, comes back to me and she's really upset. And I said, what's going on? She goes, well, I just came here to tell you something. She said, 6 months ago when I came to see you, you asked me if there was someone who had a heart attack, dropped in front of a woman, suddenly of a heart attack on the ground. 911 was called and they passed on the way to the hospital. They didn't make it. And I'm like, I said, who was that? Was that your grandpa? She's like, actually, I came here to tell you that was my husband. And she said, about a week after I left your reading, I left, my husband dropped right in front of me on the sidewalk out of nowhere. I have goosebumps when I'm telling you this story. And I had to call 911 and he died on the way to the hospital. I was like, every time I tell this story, I have like a full chill, like goosebumps, because like, obviously that is horrible. Like, I cannot imagine. Every time a widow comes to see me in the arena, I was like, I don't even know how you're standing up and having showers and getting dressed and putting your, like I am always in awe of these widows who come in. And at the time I didn't know she was a widow, and she told me, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, she wasn't upset with me. She didn't say, hey, Jen, you told me you weren't going to tell anything bad, but she goes, I just wanted to thank you because it actually prepared me. And I remembered the reading after this was happening. I was like, oh my God, the psychic, that's what she was talking about. Right. And so those kind of things, if the purpose of that reading, all the purposes of every reading is to help prepare you, help you to make decisions, help you to, get guidance and make decisions based on your own knowing and all these kind of things. There is purposes to a reading, but this one was like, wow. Right. It would have been, here's the ethical part that comes in, right? Like, how come Spirit didn't say, I just want to warn you, like, to tell your husband to go have a checkup and so he won't pass. I have done those in the past as well too. I've literally saved this man's life. He told me, he's like, when he came to see me at an in-person reading, I'm like, something going on with your heart? Like, are you okay? Do you have like heart issues? And it was like really, really strong. And my chest was hurting. He's like, I don't think so. He's like, sometimes I do. And he ended up going to the doctor. I said, maybe you should just get checked out, like, just to see if things okay. And he's like, okay, I will do that. And usually they don't do that, but he did. And he came back. He's like, thank you so much, because I had a blockage in my arteries. And if you hadn't told me to go to the doctor, I probably would be dead right now. So it depends on the situation. I would say in the first story, it most likely is because that's how that man was always going to pass. Some things you can change and prevent, and sometimes there's things that you cannot, right? It's not up to us. It's not up to the individual psychic to judge that or put that in place there, because it's God and the high intelligence. It's like, no, we know what we're doing here. We're going to use Jen as a vessel to communicate to, this person to help them prevent something, prepare something, make decisions. And it's not up to me, right? And in that first story, I had no idea. Like, I had no inkling that I was to warn her about her husband, where in the past I have been told to warn people, right? So I always say I'm just the messenger, and my heart goes out to that woman, because I literally can't imagine my life without Chad. So if you have lost a partner, or anyone for that matter, I commend you, because I'm lucky enough that I've not had.
The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Anyone close to me pass, except for my wonderful grandparents. And that was a while ago. And I remember being super upset about that, right? Like, my grandma died. I was like, oh my God. She made me a quilt. And as soon as I found out, I was like sobbing in the chair, and I wrapped myself in her quilt, and I'm like, no, and this is the grandma, as you guys have heard stories from, who has helped me and my students throughout our journeys here, right? From the other side. So, okay. So that's kind of explaining what happened. There obviously is more stories than that, and I could be here all day, but I want to get into the reading that I had 2 weeks ago, Monday. Right. So I keep saying, it's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks for a reason. There's a reason why I keep saying 2 weeks. Okay. Just because, as you can maybe guess or intuit, is that she told me something was going to happen 2 weeks from the reading. So I'm waiting. It's like, today's Saturday, so it should be technically around next Monday where this big prediction she had for me is going to come true. And that's why I said, if this happens, you guys, I will literally do a reel or a TikTok and go on there and tell you who she is, so you can book with her too. And I will tell you if it happened or not. Okay. So I'm going to keep you in suspense. All right. So it started out very general, which is fine, right? It's like, she kind of did what I did. She tapped into my energy by herself. I didn't tell her anything, and she picked on some things that were general and a little specific in the first 20 minutes or so. Like, it was like, I knew exactly what she was talking about. So she said, okay, there's going to be major transitions in your life. You're in the midst of a major transition, which is true, right? Which is true. She said, in everything, like in your finances, in your career, in your direction, and your relationships, they are shifting. She says, you're manifesting in the right direction. I'm being an example. She said, I'm being an example for leveling up, for feeling uncomfortable, showing up that way, and that I was going to have serious conversations with a friend or a partner. The next day, I had a male friend leave my life and confront me and say things. I was like, what is going on here? So that happened the next day. She kept saying my destiny has started. Like, my destiny is charted, is what she said. So my destiny, what I'm here to do, obviously, are starting to unfold now. And all these things, yes, are right? She didn't say about what. She didn't say, she didn't tap into like, oh, you're a psychic and a medium and this is where you're going. She didn't say, what about my finances? She didn't say what direction I was going in. She didn't say who it was going to be exactly, but literally I knew as she was telling me this, who she was talking about and what she meant. Okay. So I was like, yep, that makes sense. That's great. I'm super excited. I'm just reading my notes to you guys. So I took notes. She didn't record it because it was on a phone reading, which is cool, which I love. The phone reading, that is awesome. That's so old school. And the thing I love about phone readings is that she couldn't read my facial expressions, right? So, if you're a psychic and you're reading someone and you go, does that make sense to you? And the client goes, hey, and they make a face and their eyebrow goes up and you go, oh, that's wrong. So this is great. Phone readings are amazing because she couldn't read my facial expressions, right? She had no idea what I looked like. She didn't know my faces I was making. My eyebrows weren't up or down. So she also said, I don't know, I have intuitive intelligence. Well, I'm not school smart. I'm intuitive smart for real. And that's me saying that. She said I have blind faith, which I actually literally have blind faith. Like, I have no doubt the universe is going to bring me the people and the opportunities and the things, experiences that I need for my growth on this planet at this time. And the next 2 weeks, there'll be a lot of forward movement, which there has been for sure. Like, I would say also in my career, there's been some opportunities that have come up out of the blue, which I haven't shared. And also with, finances pretty good. But I would say the most forward movement I've had in the last 2 weeks is a personal shift of my subconscious beliefs. And I'll talk about that on another episode. But I'm going to skip that because that's what she says is coming out in 2 weeks. So, what does she say? Career. Show the world the truth and the agenda with partnerships. So she said, again, I didn't tell her anything. She says, in your career, you're here to show the world the truth and the agenda. Whoa. Guys, you've seen me probably from Instagram, that's literally what I do every single day. I show up every day, I do a reel, maybe 3, and I tell you the truth, whether that's met with like heckling or love, doesn't matter. But she said I have to do it through partnerships, which I am, right? So there's collaborations happening in the back end, in the backstage here. She did say that I was going to be upgrading my residency, like changing homes, making it easier and more enjoyable, which I don't think we're moving right now. I mean, that could come up, but I have been like wanting to buy it. So I painted my bedroom, we're upgrading the mattresses, things like that. Little things like that. So, I mean, who knows? It's only been not even 2 weeks yet. And then within the next 4 years, I'd probably be moving, which is good because she saw my dream house, which a lot of psychics do see my dream house on the lake. But I don't know if they're tapping into that's actually going to happen or if they're just seeing my manifesting. My grandma came in, my mom's mom came in, and she described her, but didn't say what her name was. And I think she said S, which is her last name. And she said, your grandma S says, take your time, like take your time. But then she goes, oh, your grandpa's here. And he says, the clock is ticking. I'm like, oh crap, which one is it? Take your time and the clock is ticking. So they popped in for like a second because that would be mediumship. So she was giving me a psychic reading, which is about people who are alive in time and events in their life, categories of their life. And then mediumship is the spirit world where it's only about the grandmas and the grandpas over there. That's it. So she kind of mixed the two, which is cool. But I only got those 2 messages, I believe, from my grandparents. And they said they were proud of me, which means a lot to me. It sounds general, but when the medium's like, oh, they're proud of you, and you don't hear that a lot, it's kind of cool to hear from the other side that they're proud of you. So then I believe, did I ask her the questions here? Let me see. She said there will be big decisions to be made and to keep things in perspective. So not freak out about, changes or overreact, things like that, which I do. Not seeing things as huge. Like I literally, if something happens and I'm a little bit scared about it or worried about it, I will literally freak out. Okay. So she's like, don't do that anymore. I'm like, all right. And she said that I was being sent butterflies. And I'm like, oh yeah, I literally see yellow butterflies all the time. And I mean, you could just randomly see butterflies, but I have literally written a book about these signs, called Unearth Your Intuition. So if you don't have my book, go get it. But it literally talks about the butterflies. She said, luck is on my side. I'm like, this is the best reading ever. Nothing, literally there was nothing bad. And this happened last year too. I never got any bad news at all. So that's awesome. She said she keeps seeing a smiley ladybug, and she was like, ladybugs have smiles on them, and that means luck is on my side. She said that was prosperous. Dude, could it get any better? Growth and graduation. So she tapped into my 2 daughters. So she said there's 2 girls and growth. She actually said, do you have 3 kids? And I'm like, so that was wrong, but I'm not going to nitpick here. And I'm like, no, I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. But then she said, the 2 girls have growth and graduation, which is true. So my eldest daughter just started college, and my youngest daughter will be graduating high school this year. So that was right. She just said red roses. So I do know that my mom has she plants red roses as a big plant or whatever in her garden in memory, I believe, of my grandma. But I wasn't sure what those meant. I mean, my daughter gets red roses all the time and she buys them. So she said I had to have a big conversation with a male. So, but she said husband. And I was like, oh, I hope not, because we're going on a vacation together. So hopefully that doesn't happen. She kept saying a tough conversation and to be careful about my words and change how I react. So that was good. She literally said, try not to stress anybody out. I mean, the day before this happened, there was a big bomb went off in our lives, and it kind of shook things up for him and I. And like, it was out of our control. It wasn't anything that was wrong with us. It just from the outside world environment came in. And that's literally what happened like a couple of days before, right? Big conversations, stressing people. I was stressing, like it was crazy. But so I'm hopefully she tapped to that as the past, because psychic readings are past, present, future, right? She says, congratulations are in order for upgrading to my career and my destiny. It won't ever stop. So literally I'm on the trajectory. I'm on the right path. And again, I would say after so I don't know if you guys, I probably talk about it on Instagram stories, but I work with Anthony Serino, and he's a hypnotist. And I actually go back and listen to that episode where I interviewed Anthony Serino on my podcast, and I've been working with him for a few months, or maybe a little bit more than that. And that's life-changing, dude. Like, yeah, it's like all of my subconscious negative beliefs that were holding me back are literally 95% gone. Like, anyways, so that is helping as well too. That was a big investment, but oh my God, the return is limitless. Like, it's unbelievable. So it's going to go for 4 years or more, relocation or residency within 2 years. So there's that. What else is going on here? Let's go. What else did she say? Oh yeah, there's more about my career. I'm building blocks are coming right now. She says she saw champagne. More specifics about my career and things that I haven't revealed yet. So she said the next 2 years are major life changes, 4 years of payouts, which that is awesome. She says I'm in my destiny again. My destiny is speeding up. More clear communication with my loved ones. Career direction, keep pushing. Leverage, long-term prosperity, dude. Like, is that it? Like, that was it. Hello. Like, I would say that's a pretty good reading. Wouldn't you? So I'm going to go back to the thing that she said was supposed to happen next week for me. Okay. So she said, I didn't write down the exact words, but they stuck with me out of all of this. I'm like, this is good shit. But like the thing. So she said, and again, if this happens, I'm going to share about it on Instagram, and then you guys can get a reading with her, because hopefully she'll say the same thing to you. But she said within 2 weeks, so this was about almost 2 weeks from now, from today I'm talking to you. She says, you will get a big lump sum payout in 2 weeks. And she said, like, she didn't say the amount, but she said you will be set. Like, you won't have to worry. It'll give you a lot of freedom to do all the things that you want to do. And I was like, dude, like, okay, I'm gonna take that. So you guys, you're here, you're my witness. If this happens next week, so again, it's Saturday, October 11th, 2025. If this happens on Monday or Tuesday or next week, you will find out about it. All right. And that's pretty exciting. So that's basically my reading in a nutshell. A psychic gets a psychic reading. It was really good. You know, I don't think she picked up I was a psychic and a medium. I mean, I don't go and be like, I'm going to trick the psychic to see if they'll pick up I'm a psychic. I don't do that. Like, I just go in there. I'm like, hey, I just want to, I'm a regular human being when I go in there, and I'm like, I just want a reading. And again, it's only once a year. I don't go to a psychic like every 3 months, like I know some people do, because I do know what's going to happen in my life, and I'm confident in that. But sometimes you just want a little check-in, you know? And it's nice to hear some stranger who doesn't know you. She literally doesn't know who I am. But like, you're going to be rich in 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see you again, lady. So that's my story of a psychic gets a psychic. I really hope to, well, I don't hope. I'm going to rephrase that. I'm going to be coming back here on the Spirit Mentor podcast. I'm going to be doing more episodes. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to try to get out the 2026 World Event Predictions episode out here before all the other psychics do it. Right? Because you know, like before January, all the psychics go on their YouTube and they say, okay, this is what's going to happen for 2026. So I'm going to ask Spirit, I'm going to tap in, ask God to give me some of the predictions for 2026. And then once I have those on my list, I will hopefully be the first to let you know what's going to happen. I mean, the cool thing is all the psychics say kind of different things, which, come to think of it, it might not be cool because, you know, I mean, I guess it is. It would be cool to have some like crazy things, like more specific things like where is it going to happen? When's it going to happen? But we'll get there one day. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here on the Spirit Mentor podcast. It means a lot to me that you listen, and I hope that you'll continue to listen, even though, you know, there has been a hiatus, but we're back, baby. We're back, baby. Okay. Have an awesome day. See you all next time on the Spirit Mentor podcast. Love, Jen.